Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
What's up? It's Friday. It's time to get casual. What's going on? I'm Jim. That's Brad. That's Ryan down there. We're here to talk to you about Dolmenwood, Drawsteel, D&D, and all the other TTRPGs that start with D, and maybe even one or two that start with different letters. Stay tuned. That could be coming up.
I wanted to call this episode Get More D, but the guys voted me down.
Go. What's up, Twin Steel? Let's freaking go. All right. So first up, the first thing we're going to talk about is we had already announced on the show a few weeks ago about, or maybe it was just last week, because we had Daggerheart news, then we had Drawsteel news with Crack the Sun. And I don't know if I can hit play on this or not. This is backer kit. I'm not going to. We don't hit play buttons on this show anymore because we get demonetized every time. But Drawsteel Crack the Sun has been around for less than a week. It's got 23 days left in the backer kit, and it's currently at $1.6 million, which is pretty crazy. I think especially because I've never seen a Drawsteel Instagram ad. I don't really see people talk about it that much. You know, the MCDM guys, they don't put out a lot of promo material themselves, and yet people are crazy for it. Why do you guys think that is? Is it just because Matt Colville's face is so well known to everyone who plays TTRPGs and visits YouTube?
Yeah, I think he's kind of the voice of our hobby, right? Kind of, he even calls himself Uncle Matt, right? Like I think he is kind of the the patriarch or father figure of our hobby, for sure. And I guess that would make Jenny D the matriarch of our hobby.
All respect to Jenny D, who is a force of nature, a powerhouse, and is doing great things on her new show with all those cool Canadians. But Matt Colville is got there, has been doing it twice as long. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I think has at least twice as much momentum. And it's interesting, yeah. The amount of buzz around Drawsteel versus this, like, I think it's the MCDM that pulls numbers.
I would say this. Ginny is a much, much, much better ambassador for the hobby as a whole, because I guarantee you tens of thousands of people were scrolling YouTube and went, whoa, she's cute, and then clicked on that thumbnail, and that's how they got into D&D. You know what I mean? Because she's a good ambassador for the hobby. She's noticeable. She has very bright colors in her thumbnails, and she's an attractive person. So people like to click on thumbnails that feature attractive people in them. That's just a scientific fact.
Yep. Well, and she's very likable and relatable. Like, even though she's definitely attractive, but she comes across as,
affable.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word for it. And so it's I think she just really hits the sweet spot, just as a person, but also as a brand. She's done a really good job. But yeah, but Matt really put D&D YouTube on the map, right? Like,
despite being an unattractive jerk, Matt Colville. Yeah, I'm sure Jenny would be the first to admit that cuts both ways for her, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The amount of moderation that she does, ugh, no thank you.
But yeah, she has to put up with a lot of shit. But
the Matt Colville train is running strong. I am one of those 5,443 people. I want to see his big adventure book. I did not buy there's some crazy, beautiful, but very expensive items on offer this backer kit. I'm in the cheap seats for that number, but yeah, it's interesting. I like his style, his approach to things, and like, even if I don't run this adventure in Draw Steel, I am going to strip it for parts and use it in whatever game I'm playing in a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
I think the other thing that is really helpful about Matt and his brand is that like he's always the voice of reason. Like when shit goes down in the hobby and there's a drama, he never tackles it head on. He kind of waits like a few days, and then he'll drop this thoughtful, insightful commentary where he never mentions the actual drama, but you know that that's why he's come here to talk today, is because he's setting a tone somewhere, you know, in an insightful space, you know, a bird's eye view above whatever that drama is. And he always manages to be like the voice of reason, kind of, you know, puts the umbrella over the drama and kind of compartmentalizes it for everybody.
Yeah, a good example of that is his recent video on carpetbaggers. Because can't remember if we discussed that on the show or not, but he did a video about carpetbaggers, which is a term that I wasn't really familiar with, which is people who are not involved in a space who go into a space purely to criticize it. And that's his definition of it anyway. And I think he did a very good job of being reasonable and legitimate and talking about why toxicity exists in the hobby. And he did a good job of explaining it without really calling out any particular groups or, you know, speaking of it in a general way, I thought.
Yeah, I think I think that's good because somebody new to the hobby can watch his video and just kind of get a general sense of, oh, that's neat advice. And that, you know, is good for the hobby. Where the people who are in the know and are aware of the drama hear that and are like, oh, great job of putting things in perspective, Matt. Right. So, you know, he doesn't draw attention to the drama, and therefore he's not flaunting that drama in front of, you know, new members of the hobby to get them like worried or weirded out or whatever. So I think he accomplishes a lot in a 20-minute video.
Right. Any other thoughts here on Crack the Sun or Draw Steel or Matt Coville? Ready to move on?
Are you a enough to save the multiverse? Great tagline. Brilliant.
Yeah. He's also the master of those punchy taglines, right? I'm just waiting for somebody to run Draw Steel for us. I really want to play it.
Yeah. It's not going to be me, but somebody should do that. Okay, so moving on. D&D Beyond published this little year in review thing, which there's not a lot of year in review, but there are some interesting looking forward things. This is from Brian Perry, the new executive producer of D&D Beyond. He led things like local game store early access, which I think was a very smart thing. Very much approve of it. You know, a lot of game stores, including the one in my neighborhood, gets books early now at the same time that you get them with early access on D&D Beyond. So that was smart. So there's a lot of, what did we do this year? We did a lot of blah, 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 mission, purpose, core values, aligning. And so none of that matters. I'm not going to read any of that crap. It's all just empty stuff that doesn't mean anything. But so here's a couple things that they did talk about. SRD 5.2.1 is available now in French, Italian, German, and Spanish, all at dndbeyond.com/SRD, which is great. 4 languages. I remember a couple years ago they said they were going to do this, and a lot of talking heads, including maybe me at the time, said this will never happen. But it did happen, and so good on them. I say a lot of bad things about WotC on this channel, but that was a good thing. They did deliver on that.
Yeah, and that's important for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, new D&D Beyond homepage, art and reveal, handout reveals and maps. This is good. Roll20 has been able to do this forever. To just be able to force an image onto the screen of your players that say like, and then you turn around the corner and see this, blah, and then here's a big monster token in your face. My library overhaul, blah, blah, blah. Then releasing next year, 3D dice, rolling, and maps. A rules assistant, which I think is the chat bot.
I was wondering if that's going to be our first taste of AI on D&D Beyond. The rules assistant.
and campaign console, which is something that I've been asking for a long time. Hand puppets, indeed. Yeah, there is a you can create a campaign on D&D Beyond, and it has like a single text box for notes, and that's it. There's nowhere to store files or anything like that. You can't do session notes with it. It's been bad for a long time. But one thing I've noticed here, they didn't say anything about improving the search, which is the biggest damn problem on the site.
Yeah, the search feature is terrible.
I would trade all of these things that are coming for better search.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have thoughts on their year in review or their year ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about this rules assistant. I'm assuming it's going to be an AI based tool, which we talked about a lot the last couple of episodes. We're talking about AI. So yeah, I'm curious to see if it's actually going to be helpful or not, and will it be helpful enough that it'll take the place of the search feature? I mean, maybe two birds, one stone here. I don't know. That's some wishful thinking on my part.
My main takeaway from this was this person's introduction of themselves very much showed their awareness of where the community is and has been over the last few years. Like, hi, you don't know me, but I did the cool stuff that you like. That was a direct response to you guys not liking some other stuff. So like, hey, early access for brick and mortar game shops. I got the SRD out. Here come more cool stuff. Like, I just read the tea leaves here as like, okay, this person is like in touch. It's not just a transplant who was at Microsoft 6 months ago. This person understands the community. I don't know. They're a little deep into it based on the first half of this about like what should be like an email to the employees and what should be a conversation with shareholders and what should be like in this thing maybe, but that's fine. It gets the lines get blurry some days, especially towards the end of the year here. So yes, I am looking forward to what comes in the future from this person who seems like most of this announcement is here's all the stuff that they said they were going to do, but now I'm in charge and I'm going to make sure we do it. Tune in next year for new things that I'm in charge of. And it feels like we're in a rebuilding era in all things D&D. So we were talking about this off camera about like what is happening next year. Usually by this time we would have some idea. So this is the start of the new wave of people showing up and taking charge and maybe cleaning up.
There's still a couple weeks of December left, but we don't really know what they're doing in terms of product for 2026. But there was one other thing I wanted to mention here, something that caught my eye, where it said, we are going to, where is it? Starting now, the D&D Beyond team's goal is to communicate with you at least once a month. Do you know how many times they've said this in the past? Every 6 months they say this, we're going to have weekly whatever, or do a better job of blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But before the WotC acquisition, and even in the early days of it, they used to have they had a YouTube channel where they had this guy. I don't remember who it was. I remember he had a haircut that was kind of like a triangle that went up. I don't remember his name. And he did release notes. It was like once a month, and it was very useful. They could talk about you could go and chat and be like, hey, this thing isn't working, or what are we gonna do with this? And it was like direct communication. And they've had 6 different means of that. And we're still waiting for the next creator summit, WotC. that they're supposed to happen every 6 months. You're like 3 behind.
Yeah.
The next creator summit.
Yeah. They were doing they promised the creator summit, and then they promised the regular like roadmap kind of things. And maybe they're kind of embarrassed that their last roadmap was so focused on the new VTT and they didn't deliver on that. Yeah. Or maybe there's just been so much changeover at the top that they don't have a good roadmap yet. with
Yeah,
when with like Perkins gone and Jeremy Crawford gone. Maybe they're kind of circling the wagons, trying to regroup.
could be. It seems like they've had a pretty big reorg inside of WotC over the last year. I don't know why, but I worked at a company that used to regularly do reorgs like they were enemas, and it's just like months of down productivity. It's like we're gonna reorganize to make everything more efficient, and then they forget that like, oh, but now all these new people have to learn new stuff and do
Mm-hmm.
things differently, and so everyone's productivity goes down. Then they're like, that reorg didn't work. We clearly need to reorg again to fix the last reorg. The beatings will continue until morale improves. That's kind of the that's the attitude there.
Yeah, I used to be a civilian contractor on a military base, and yeah, it was you get a new commanding officer at least every 3 years, which means you're doing a complete reorganization, minimum every 3 years. But then somebody has a bright idea in the middle of that, and so it really comes out to about every other year you're doing a reorg. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, Nacho says here, sounds like Dark Sun and Dragonlance for 26. Yeah, Dark Sun's still not officially confirmed, right? Didn't they just like reserve a website or something?
Mm-hmm.
I think most of what we have to go on are the UAs, and we had a very breathless episode about the one Dark Sun UA, and it did look like we're doing some Dragonlance stuff too. I know the one thing I'm confident about in 2026 is Ed Greenwood is releasing a ton of Forgotten Realms stuff. So if that's your bag, that'll be on the DMs Guild, and it's from the Godfather of Forgotten Realms, so it's going to be weird and wonderful.
Yeah, but that's directly from Ed. That's not from WotC. So we have no
Right.
real solid leads on what WotC is doing, other than trying to get some more AI in there.
Kind of feels like maybe they're waiting to see how these Forgotten Realms books do.
Mm.
WotC could be teetering on the brink of getting funding cut, depending on how sales do. We don't know. But moving on to things that are not WotC,
Yay!
Dolmenwood has arrived. The Dolmenwood campaign book for GMs is $60. There are 2 other core books. There is the monster book and the player's book, which are cheaper. I know very little about Dolmenwood, but I do believe we have someone on the show right now who knows quite a bit about Dolmenwood, or at least can hold up the books in front of the camera.
The first thing I would like to address is the reason this book is $60 is because it's hard to hold. My wrist hurts.
434 pages.
The GM's book is essentially the setting, and my goodness, Dolmenwood has ruined everything else for me in a lot of ways. The amount of information and cool shit that is easily accessible somehow leaps off the page at you, is easy to find and discover. The other night, I'm running Curse of Strahd, and it took me 10 minutes to answer a player's question. It was insane because there's stuff everywhere. There's no sense of like, this is a product that people will use. Whereas this team, I mean, I like to give Gavin credit, but it's a bunch of people, understand layout and design, and like to the point that it made me appreciate layout and design and has changed the way I do business. It is wonderful to be like, oh, you want to explore this patch for foraging? Cool. Here's this mushroom. This is what it does. Bing, bang, boom, boom. This is someone who's looking for it. This is what you can do with it to cast a spell. Oh, you want to take under this rock? Okay, you find a goblin. This is what this goblin's doing. And just interesting, cool things happen emergently and accessibly. It's dope. It's maybe not for everybody. Dolmenwood is very folklore, dark, mythic. It is fantasy and fanciful, but not comic booky in a way that a lot of current games tend to be. You are some medieval guy who's just good at swinging a sword, and there are forces out there that are beyond your comprehension, and you might get got.
Yeah, it's I mean, Dolmenwood itself is just a huge forest, and there's this whole like network of factions that live in and around the forest. Um, yeah, and it's more inspired by like Grimm's fairy tales. What's the Strange and Norrell? Jonathan Strange and
Jonathan
Mr.
Strange.
Yeah, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Um, the Labyrinth, right? It's very much inspired by those more fairy tale esque, like the movie Legend, um, instead of like Conan and Farford and the Grey Mouser, that inspired original D&D, right? It's definitely more fairy tale and less sword and sorcery, right?
And you could bring your own touch to all of these things. There's a lot of room for a DM to improvise and insert other content and adventures. This could be just a region within a larger world where tones and genres shift around. But leaning into what this game does well is going to be your best experience. And yeah, the factions are phenomenal, and the amount of development in the NPCs and what the factions are trying to do and the consequences of if they succeed, so that the world can fundamentally be changed in this fairy tale forest by what your players do. And there's just it's just alley oop after alley oop. Hey, you have a cleric. There are shrines to all of these saints all over the forest where they can gain blessings if they restore them. Hey, you have a wizard. These dolmens have spells on them, but the druid faction doesn't want you touching their rocks. So they're going to come after you, but you can gather magic from them. You have a ranger. Everything I've ever said about rangers, about being the system that's broken, not the class, this is the game you play a ranger in. You could roll up a party of rangers and have an incredible experience in Dolmenwood, because it's exploration and it's hunting and it's foraging and it's fishing. And oh my god, I could just gush for hours.
Yeah, well, and it's so deeply developed because it started off as zines. I've been following it since it was in the early Wormwood zines. Is that what they were called?
Wormskin.
Wormskin zines. And there's a number of great adventures already. So if you want to taste a Dolmenwood, go get like Winter's Daughter is a really good adventure that takes place in Dolmenwood. You could pick that up, run it if you really like that and want more of that, fairy tale, grim fantasy setting. Then dive in. I think I didn't back the Kickstarter because I wanted to see the finished product first, and it's fantastic. I think I'm going to buy the campaign book and the map book because I can customize my own monsters. Like, give me the name of a monster and what it does. I can do the mechanics. I'm not worried about that. And I already have a ton of Shadow Dark stuff. So I think I'm just going to use the Dolmenwood setting in my Shadow Dark campaign. But yeah, I'm definitely at least picking up those two books. The map book is incredible. Sorry, Jim.
What's the rule system like? Is it OSR?
Yeah, it's a modified version of Old School Essentials. You can play race as class for a few interesting races or species or kindreds in play here. And you can run those, dwarf as a class. Here you can be a Bregel as the class, or you can be a Bregel knight. But it's very recognizable, very cleaned up version of essentially BX. If you've ever touched Old School Essentials or almost any other OSR product, it's going to be very familiar to you. But the flavor of it all is where it really shines. I will say the monster book is a little thin on creatures. There's not a ton here for your $30, but every monster has several roll tables of like, okay, here's a cockatrice. What makes this particular cockatrice different? It has a enormous feathery beard. When you see it, it's angrily chasing a shorthorn, which is a kind of Bregel that I just mentioned, who has stolen its egg at the behest of its master. What is its lair like? And that's a cockatrice. Like, an intelligent species will have even more going on with it. So that level of development is there. And it's this sweet spot of like just enough that already ideas are being generated. This is the kind of stuff that I like to do. I strive to do myself. Just like, here's an interesting little tidbit that you cannot help but see how it interacts with what's already going on at the table and what the player's about to say, and game story just happens. We played this game for about 6 months. I ran a campaign in Dolmenwood and like left so much meat on the bone. There's like I could run it 3 times over. We didn't spend a lot. Like, you can go to ferry and run through a bunch of stuff. The towns are all very interesting, and we went to 3 out of, I don't know, 12 settlements. There's just so much content in this game. I highly recommend it.
NPCs same way. That like there's it's not too much to read, but there's enough there to really hook you and show you how to incorporate this NPC into your game.
This page is like the heads of families, but like here's the tavern keeper, here's what he looks like in 3 evocative words, and here's the way he speaks. Here's his tone of voice and his manner of speaking, and that is such a great thing for a DM to have in his hand the second you're like trying not to default on the same 6 voices you always do. Is that just me? Anyway, help me out, chat. But it's and used and thought out.
To further answer your question about mechanics, Jim, it's pretty much like Ryan said. It's cleaned up BX, but there's also a D6 skill system, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Ryan? That allows a little more nuance than just a straight clone of BX.
There's like Listen at Doors. You'll be familiar with. I ran it just mostly roll under, just to make it even simpler, because I had, and I think this will be a lot of people's experience, I had a group of people trying to play 5e as hard as they could, and I was constantly pulling back on the reins, so I did it like an even more stripped down version of an old school approach, just to be like, nah, just roll under. That's one weird thing. I'm not going to get you to do more weird things. Forget about your character sheet, just stay in the story. But yes, there's some classes have more, and some species, depending on how you play, have more skills. Coming from a 5e perspective, skills are a lot less important than what your player is doing. Has way more of an impact than what your character can do based on the buttons they have to push.
Well, so that is Dolmenwood, and if you're interested, it's out now and you can buy it. And speaking of things you can buy, there is a D&D gift list, and a lot of this is just, there's some sales going on in D&D Beyond for the holiday sales. Physical and digital bundle for $180, which still seems like a lot. Jeez. The Adventures in Faerun, but there were a couple things under that interested me. I've looked at these one-shot wonders before, and I think they're pretty good. They're from Roll and Play Press. So you can get, I like this one. This is a 15 one-shot wonders for different holidays across various levels. A Toy Factory, Ice Castle, Banquet Hall. Wintry playable species. This is just kind of fun. Magic items based on the 12 Days of Christmas. Then a couple other items on here the other main thing was this, first, if you run on the Sword Coast, canvas maps of Faerun. See if we can see any of these canvas maps here. Well, that doesn't really help. Can't really see the canvas.
I am so looking forward to the next big adventure that I fall in love with. I'm not holding my breath, but so I can buy the Beetle and Groom version, because good God, do they make beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Lillard's been in the news quite a lot lately because of things that Quentin Tarantino said about him.
Oh, I missed that.
You might not know if you're not as terminally online as I am, but yeah. Tarantino did some cocaine and did an interview where he said dumb stuff, which is, par for the course for Quentin Tarantino. He always imagines himself in a black leather jacket with a lucky strike between his fingers. But the other thing that I like here is this gibbering mouther, which is absolutely horrifying. I don't know about you guys, but gibbering mouther is Of the D&D creatures that bother me, this one is top 10 for sure. Just a pile of flesh with toothy orifices around it.
Yeah, I didn't like the way my pre-painted Wiz Kids gibbering mouther looked as far as the paint job. So I kind of repainted mine, made it more fleshy. And after I did, I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. I like painted on some like flesh colored highlights, and they gave the whole thing a flesh wash, and then kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And then when I was done, I'm like, oh my God, that is hideous.
I like to treat them more as like almost environmental. So like make it even one further remove from like a creature. Like, oh no, this is something happened to a lot of creatures, or what was left of them after something terrible happened to them. I don't know if everyone's caught up on Stranger Things, no spoilers, but there's like a wall that's basically this thing. And yeah, that's how I like to treat these guys to make them even more Cronenberg horror.
Yeah. Well, I've mashed the gibbering mouther together with the Odiug stat block.
Nacho wins chat today.
I've mashed the gibbering mouther together with the Odiug stat block, so it has extra tentacles that can pick stuff up and slam it around. So that's how I upgrade a monster if I want like the mother gibbering mouther or whatever. I'll just take another monster and slap some extra abilities on it and make it bigger.
I've heard good things about this Trist adventure, The Finest Edge of Twilight. I have heard good things about that one. Yeah, so an armored owlbear plush. I might buy that for my kid.
Is it me? Am I your kid?
No, sorry, Ryan.
I kind of... No, it's okay.
Sorry, buddy. I do like this. I bought him. He has a Themberchaud from Honor Among Thieves. It is a big fat dragon.
Nice.
All right, so that is some stuff you can buy. Holiday gifts, a lot of stuff's on sale at D&D Beyond. But then, let's do a little catch up. We're kind of halfway.
Yeah.
So now we come to the part of the show called the catch up, where we catch up and say what we're up to. What's up, guys? What do you got going on, Brad? What do you got going on?
I'm currently like with all the holidays, all my RPG stuff's been on hold. But we're gonna squeeze in a Vampire Masquerade game next week, but between now and Christmas, and then picking up my Shadow Dark campaign with the new year. So I'm bouncing back and forth between Shadow Dark and Vampire still. Looking forward to the new year. I got some ideas for me possibly getting back onto the YouTube on a regular basis. We'll see what happens there.
See, what about you, Ryan? What you got going on?
Looking forward to more Diary Den. I feel like we hit maybe the halfway point. We had a big beat in my Curse of Strahd game. In my Eve of Vecna game, we are at the very end. We are at level 19. We're going to be seeing Vecna pretty soon, unless we all die, of course. High-level D&D is great and terrible in all the ways I've waxed poetic about many times before. I am looking forward to level 1 D&D again after that is over. As far as the verdigris table goes, I am deep in the first third to half of too many projects because I'm stupid like that. I'm an ideas man. I'm working on the follow through. But I will be, to no one here's surprise, after great demand, I will be finishing the Dragon of Icespire Peak series that I started years ago, that the SRD controversy actually stopped in my tracks. I have 2 scripts locked and loaded. After the holidays, I'm going to do a big record sesh, and any of you who started that campaign 3 years ago, sorry I left you hanging. But for future people, that'll be cool. And I think then I'm gonna go into the starter set. I think I'm gonna get back to the roots of what made Verdigris Table, popular, and greeting new people coming in the door. In my very small sample size, the rumblings from Critical Role and Stranger Things, I'm seeing new people come into the hobby again for the first time in a minute. And all that stuff, we can put the past behind us now. We got a new edition. There's 100 new games, which we're going to talk about. More new games in a second. A lot of opportunity to bring a lot of new people in to a lot of new experiences. So I want to lean back into that side of the equation.
Yeah, and that just reminded me of one other thing I do have going on is I'm still running D&D club at my wife's school. And I'm not running the actual starter set, the new one, but I'm using all the assets. So the pre-made character, templates and the item cards and the maps. So I'm using all the assets from that box set to run a game for the kids. I'm running the game in kind of that kind of like Dragon Vice Spire Peak format, where it's like you put out 3 quests, and they run 2 of them, and then you like rotate in a couple more quests. Sly Flourish came up with a good name for that format. I can't remember what it is now, but that's the format I'm running because it's easy for the kids to follow.
What do you call it? 3 minus 1?
I think so.
2 plus 1, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Sounds like math. I don't like it.
I don't like it. All right. Well, so moving on to the next bit of news. I think it was just yesterday.
Wait, time out, Jim. What's going on with you, man? How you doing?
What's going on with me? I'm doing all right. I got some new Bigfoot pajamas. I'm not going to show you on camera because I'm not going to stand up, but I'll show you guys off after the show. I got really soft Bigfoot pajamas.
Like Sasquatch or like footy pajamas for adults? Okay.
They've got little Sasquatches and little footprints on them. But YouTube wise, I think over the next few months I'm gonna be rebooting some older videos that I think didn't get enough love because I know a lot more about editing and producing videos now. I think I can do them more justice. I just re-released my video on Mazes and Monsters. I redid that video with new cut-ins, new sound, all new stuff, and it also failed. It bombed just like the first one did. I don't understand why. It's a great video. Go watch it. My video on Mazes and Monsters. But that's all that's going on there. What's going on in the world is that just within the last couple of days, they had the Video Game Awards, which apparently, this is wild, is watched live by more people than the Super Bowl. Last Super Bowl got 140 million live. The Video Game Awards got 170 million live viewers.
Wow.
Interesting. I'm going to chalk that up to international appeal. I know my German friends love football way more than I do. They're mad at me because I don't have a terrible towel hanging behind me. But yeah, video games have a broader range than American football.
Still, 170 million people around the world all paid attention to this thing at once.
Yeah.
And Claire Obscure 30 Expedition 33, Claire Obscura, I don't know, I didn't play it. Won all the awards, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not really talking about those video games. We're going to be talking about
the Street Fighter trailer, which was I'm sorry.
There were some cool games like a new Knights of the Old Republic, that Star Wars game, KOTOR 1 and 2 are both pretty awesome. But they announced a new D&D game, Warlock. And Trisha Helfer of Battlestar Galactica fame came out to announce it. I guess it looks like she may be doing mocap, but she's definitely doing the voice of the main character. This is from Invoke, which sounds fine until you learn that Invoke is the name for Took Games, or is the studio who made Dark Alliance.
You skipped over the words "much derided" in that press release.
Yeah, honestly, I had Dark Alliance. I got it out of the bargain bin at GameSpot or GameStop. I had it for PS5. I played it for about 45 minutes and said, "This is stupid." Then my young son played it for like 2 hours and he said, "This is awesome." And then he played it a little bit more and he was like, "I don't know what to do." I didn't know what to tell him, so he just quit. He liked it for about 2 hours and then he got tired of it when he was 6. But I don't want to play this game trailer. But there was another thing interesting here that I thought they said. We're not trying to simulate the tabletop RPG experience, so there is no dice rolling in the game. And the first thing I thought when I read that was, you know what made Baldur's Gate 3 awesome was rolling dice in the game. So it seems like these Invoke Studios 2 games have not learned much. So I don't know. I don't have high hopes for D&D Warlock, but I'm a big fan of Trisha Helfer. So we'll see. Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Do you have any specific thoughts on this, Ryan? Because I have kind of more of like game design ideas that this made me think of.
No, I'm always on two minds of all of these things. Whereas like Wizards of the Coast having success with D&D outside of the tabletop role-playing game is good in general because it's bringing new people into the hobby and maybe whatever, giving them more funding and resources. But at the same time, like I didn't even play Baldur's Gate 3, man. Sorry about it. Come at me. Like this does not interest me.
Well, and that's what I was kind of thinking of. I recently watched a video by Ash over at Gorilla Miniatures, and he was talking about the difference between older Game Workshops games compared to the newer ones. And what's interesting is, the game designers of today largely grew up in like, the late 90s, early 2000s, right? So they are largely drawing from experiences from games that they grew up on, right? So the late 90s, early 2000 games are largely informing decisions that are being made by game designers today versus the games that were made, in the 80s and 90s, were largely informed on games that weren't video games, right? So that's where we first saw a lot of Dungeons and Dragons influence in gaming, right? The idea of hit points and turn-based combat and character classes, right? A lot of the early video games had aspects of that, even ones that weren't RPG related. Like some of the early like first person shooters kind of had like a class based design, right? Where you could pick different style of character. So just from a game design standpoint, I find it interesting that the Baldur's Gate being one of the most successful games of the past year was a remake of older games, or like a new version of the older Baldur's Gate games, which have that more pen and paper RPG influence. So I find it interesting from a game design standpoint that like something from like the previous generation of game design was so popular, because to like new gamers, I think it was fresh and different to have something that was so gamified and like you could see the D&D mechanics in the gameplay. So I've just kind of like been, kind of tooling around with that idea from a game design approach of like, where are we getting our inspiration from when we're making new games? And, we're no longer drawing from the stuff that we grew up on. Designers are drawing on stuff that has come out the last 20 years, it's just, there's a different feel to it and a different vibe to it. So wondering, as a game designer, do I need to be paying more attention to like the stuff that my kids are playing, right, to inform my game design decisions to make a game that would be more marketable to the modern gamer?
I don't know. Dark Alliance should have worked. It had recognizable IP. It had, at the time, the most famous D&D characters available. Drizzt, Wolfgar, Catti-brie. It had all the hits. No Minsk and Boo, but that's they probably didn't have access to those characters for whatever reason. Like the Baldur's Gate 3 character. But of course, now that Baldur's Gate 3 is out, Karlach, Asterion, Minsk and Boo, they're back to the top of the popularity charts again. But so I don't know what's going to happen with this game. I don't wish it fails. I wish that it's awesome, and I can enjoy playing it. And I hope that it feels like D&D when I play it.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Yeah, I feel like that's an ongoing theme. We're always rooting for WotC to have success, which only furthers our disappointment when they don't.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want them to step on rakes. It's just that it's good TV when they do.
Right.
And they're a pretty reliable source of content in that in that regard.
Yeah.
But you got a cash cow like this, you got to milk it.
Yeah. I mean, it's same with the DCEU, right? I'm with Wizards of the Coast and DCEU. I'm regularly surprised how poor a job they do of milking their cash cow. Like, it's ridiculous that you can't deliver on such a good IP in both cases.
Yeah. James Gunn seems to be riding the ship, though. The new Superman was pretty good, and the new Suicide Squad movie, the second one, was excellent.
Yeah,
really, really, really good. Like, hard to believe because the first one was so bad, but the second Suicide Squad, excellent movie. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, just a reference about how bad the first Suicide Squad movie was. My wife was super excited and like took pictures on the way into the theater and posted them on social media and tagged me in it. And then halfway through the movie, I pull out my phone and I untag myself because I don't want to be associated with
I don't want nobody to know I was here.
That's how bad Suicide Squad was, the first one. Oh, it's terrible.
That's funny. Untagging yourself mid-film. So moving on. I saw a little surprise on EN World that Toon, the game, is coming back.
Oh, wow. I didn't catch that on the show notes. That's exciting for me.
Slapstick Chaos, Cartoon Logic, No One Ever Dies. First released in 1984, Toon let players step into a cartoon world where falling pianos, exploding dynamite, and ridiculous mishaps are part of the fun. Everyone may fall down, but no one stays down for long. Fall down is capitalized. That must be a mechanic. 40 years later, Toon is back with simplified character design, a dozen customizable cartoon adventures, silly tables, classic Slapstick Chaos, full-color cartoon art. Now, I have really, really vague memories of either seeing this or playing it. I know my older brother introduced me to games, but I remember my first D&D with him, but I have this really vague memory of playing or seeing this game played when I was really young. And Brad, I was hoping, as another old, you might be able to fill in some details because I don't remember anything else about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like playing Roger Rabbit, right? It's zany, and like it says, your character can't die, and like there's a lot of random tables make the thing hilarious. I have very vague memories. I think I played it like 2 or 3 times, but like Toon and Paranoia are the 2 games that I've always wished I played more of. Both of those games I played just a few sessions of and always wanted more. And was never able to get a Toon or a Paranoia game off the ground on a regular basis. because kind of like today, everybody wants to play 5th edition. Back then, everybody wanted to play AD&D, so it was hard to get them to lock into anything more than like 2 or 3 sessions of a new game.
Paranoia is really a chemistry dependent kind of game, isn't it? I don't know. I've never heard of, maybe this happens, but I've never heard of anyone running Paranoia for randos at the game store or just at a con. Like, I'm sure you can probably sign up to play Paranoia at a con with strangers, but wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah, I feel like Paranoia is to role-playing games how Cards Against Humanity is to card games.
Because I don't know if this was in the original Paranoia, but in the updated Paranoia, part of the character creation process is screwing over the other players.
Yep.
It's built into the beginning of the game. Why would you? I wouldn't want to do that with strangers. No, absolutely not. No way.
Set and setting, folks.
Yeah, it does. Again, I have very vague memories of this game, but when you just read it and it mentioned simplified character creation, that sounded good to me. I don't remember how complicated the character creation was in Toon, but I do know almost every game, with probably the gleaming exception, was Marvel Superheroes role-playing game. But almost every game from the 80s had unnecessarily complex character creation.
Huge long lists of skills.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Or like, layers of different moving parts that, really didn't make much mechanical difference. So you could have totally stacked things and minimized, options that weren't real options, just to streamline character creation. That was an ongoing theme with almost every game that I played growing up. But so streamline character creation for Toon makes a lot of sense, because the way I remember it is a lot of the gameplay depends on those silly tables. There's a lot of random generation in the middle of the game from what I remember.
Well, I like silly random stuff, so this might be right up the one-page one-shot alley.
I like the sound of that.
Definitely not a one-pager, but we can maybe make something work.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts here on Toon or on the old school games? I just remember playing a lot of Palladium games, and they all had character creation wasn't great because everybody just had so many skills.
Mm-hmm.
And Top Secret was like that too. I remember Top Secret had extensive skill list, and
that's one I did play a lot of. That's probably the one we played the most of outside of Dungeons and Dragons was Top Secret.
Top Secret was fun, very fiddly though, a lot of rules.
I even took the Top Secret engine and made a Star Trek game. So I took the FAFSA Star Trek game, which also had a ridiculously long set of skills, and I streamed down the FAFSA skill list and put it into the Top Secret mechanics, and we played that Star Trek game for probably for at least a year. It turned out to be pretty cool. Pretty cool using the Top Secret system in the Star Trek setting.
I don't know if this was in older editions of Top Secret, but in the newer edition of Top Secret, the one that's called New World Order, I think that came out in 2020, they simplified the rolling mechanics to what they call a Lucky 13 system. I don't know if it was there before, but basically your DC is always 13 in kind of a Powered by the Apocalypse way.
Okay.
And so you always have a dice pool. You're going to have like your ability dice and your dice for whatever. And so, but you're always trying to increase your dice pool to hit that number 13. So that was a lot simpler than, because before I think Top Secret had a lot of roll under percentage stuff that was very confusing.
Yeah, it was all roll under percentage. And that was the only game that I got into that was roll under. I typically avoid roll under games, but for some reason, that Top Secret system worked for us.
It's kind of the main thing that's keeping me from embracing Call of Cthulhu, really, because as much as cool as Cthulhu is, roll under just doesn't feel right to me.
Well, you know, it would be a really
Big
You
number
know,
good.
you know, it would be a really great system that you could use to run a Call of Cthulhu style game, because
What's
so
that?
much of Call of Cthulhu is more about the vibe and the investigation, and not really about mechanics. Is you could use our UDare system
Oh
to
my goodness. What a great idea, Brad. That is the Universal D8 rolling engine, UDARE, UDARE. With it's an acronym like it's a 1980s kids cartoon. But you can get that on itch.io, and you can get that on what's it?
drive through
Drive
RPG.
through. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing I believe we are going to hit today
Hurdle
is
Girdle.
the Humble Bundle with a ton of books here. Let me bump this up. Oh no, what did I do?
You clicked through to one of them.
Click through too many. So $40 for 57 items, including Avatar, Transformers. Transformers is a pretty hefty book. I've seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I made it too big. We can't see them all. Second edition Apocalypse World. They just recently announced the third edition of that. Warhammer Fantasy Spire. There's quite a extensive list here.
Dragonbane is in that list.
Yeah, Knights Black Agents, Root, G.I. Joe, which is one I've always been curious about.
And I'm pretty sure the G.I. Joe game and the Transformers game, made by the same people, use the same engine. So if you were into those crossover comics back in the day, where like G.I. Joe and Transformers, combined, I think you could actually, if you have both of those books, you could actually run a campaign of G.I. Joe plus Transformers.
Phil says in chat it's the Renegade Essence 20 system.
That sounds right.
Slug Blaster I've been interested in ever since Quinn's Quest did a review of it. It looks very cool. But look at this list. All of this stuff. Masks.
Oh, Basin's in there.
Yeah, Masks, Vaesen. This is like every game that's come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah, Jim, if you want an investigation game similar to Call of Cthulhu, but have it be more on the like fairy tale vibes than the Cthulhu mythos, Vaesen is your game. It's a really cool game.
Yeah. Power Rangers.
I just bought this before we went to air.
Nice.
And I have some of these things, and it was still worth it.
Kobolds Ate My Baby uses that that system that we talked about a couple weeks ago for the wrestling game.
Oh, okay.
The one where each class has their own single die.
Right. Yeah. That's a cool design.
What was that system called? It was like the Panic system or something like that. I know it had like an action kind of name. Rifts? Oh. Rifts in Savage World. What? Based on the works of Kevin Ciambieta. I know that name very well. Rifts, Tomorrow Legion contains everything you need to make and equip mega powered characters with Rifts or setting. Rifts was my jam in high school.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of framework. What does it have to do with Savage Worlds?
Savage Worlds will just like run anything.
Savage Rifts brings the incredibly popular world of Palladium Books Rifts to the award-winning Savage Worlds system. Interesting. I did not know this existed.
Because Rifts had its own system, right?
Yeah, it was based on the sort of the Palladium general engine that fueled like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rifts, the Robotech game. There were a bunch of them that were licensed things that were all around that time.
Gotcha. So this is the Rifts setting using the Savage Worlds game engine.
I guess. I don't know. Ryan owns it. He's going to have to tell us. I'm sure you'll get through all 57 of these PDFs in no time, right, Ryan?
I'm gonna load up my tablet with all these PDFs and mostly probably just look at Wild Sea the whole time. But we'll see.
Is that third edition Warhammer Fantasy? Is that what that is? Does it tell you which edition that is?
derp. I don't see. I just see lore. Lore. No, I don't see it.
I'm assuming that's the newest edition of Warhammer Fantasy. I've heard good things about the new edition. I forget which one of those I like best. I want to say that it was second edition was the best of those Warhammer Fantasy games, if I remember right. There was one that really stood out to me that I really liked. I think it was second edition. And the new one's supposed to be more of a throwback to that one.
I've been curious about Wild Sea here. I might buy this too. Although I definitely do not have time to read more PDFs. But I want it. I want this.
Hey, it's for charity.
Cypher
Buy it,
system,
stick it in that folder that you never open, but always drag things from your downloads into, and remember that you have it in a year or two.
I mean, everything. It's just the basic universal. I paid like $10 for this on its own a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
To get the basic universal role-playing game engine, which is not as good as the universal D8 rolling engine, I might say. You dare. Yeah, you dare. Way better than you dare. You know how much? I don't know how much this costs, but you know how much you can get you dare for? $0.
Nada.
Yep.
Nada.
And you can use you dare to run in any of these settings.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So buy Vaesen, then don't learn the rules. Just read the lore, and then use you dare to run it.
There you go.
I'm sure the rules of Vaesen are fine. No, that's one I've wanted to read Vaesen. Okay, we're just kind of geeking out now. I think we can probably wrap things up.
Oh, just nerds being nerds. Look at us.
Just nerds being nerds. Just looking at nerd porn. TTRPG porn.
Yo.
Tabletop role porning.
Say that word. Say that word. Say this word.
Roll porning.
No, the S word that you're hovering over. I think this is one of those like sigil.
Oh,
shibboleths.
Simbaroom.
Simbaroom.
That's a really cool. Is that the actual Simbaroom game, or is that the 5e version?
I think that's the actual core game. I haven't even downloaded these yet.
Features a fast-paced and flexible rule set.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Dolmenwood sounds a little too airy-fairy for you, Simbaroom is like the dark version of a forest where bad things have happened and you're gonna die. Also pretty cool.
And there is a 5e version of Simbaroom that makes the 5e rules more deadly. If you want to do the dark fairy forest thing in 5th edition, Simbaroom 5e is a pretty good version.
Yeah, there's like a corruption. I forget what they call it, but it acts as like you're slowly getting tainted by the dark magic that is in this place, and you will never be the same.
Yeah. Simbaroom's got some cool stuff going on in it for sure.
What if Jane Austen wrote Power Rangers? It's Bridgerton meets Kaiju. Italian sensibility. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna shut this, so we'll stop looking at it. All right, so hey. We are the Landlocked Warlocks, and thank you for watching and listening, and we love you. Have yourself a great weekend, and stay safe out there. Bye.
See ya.